From a secret underground bunker somewhere in the Arizona desert, 40 feet below the Earth's surface, two men, aided by their robotic artificial intelligence, Jennifer,
Jennifer at your service.
hide from their wives and kids to discuss man stuff with interesting and unusual people. These men are the Bunker Boys. We are, and we're here.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. What's your name?
Ralph.
Ralph. Hi, Ralph. It's like the cartoon. Hi, Ralph. Hi, John. Or Jake. Remember the coyote and the dog, sheepdog? So much for my remembering quickly. Those days are gone, I'm afraid. But welcome to the bunker. We are here live again. We're almost live. And Garth and Chris here.
Yeah, we're almost alive.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to live as much as I can from here on forward. I've decided that working too much isn't worth it, that you got to have enough money to live on, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. The rest of it is enjoying yourself. So don't get too caught up in work. I'm going to buy my camper. I'm going to get all the stuff I need to camp. I've got some good quality stuff. I've got my dream guitars, and I'm ready to play music, relax, camp, canoe, and have a good time from here forward.
Okay.
All right. If you had to think about it, what was the most fun time of your life?
Having
Okay. I asked the question. I deserved that.
Yes, you did.
Let me put it to you this way. Things that we can talk about on the show.
Oh.
What are the most fun times of your life? What was there a time period that was best for you that you just fondly remember? Was it growing up in junior high school? Was it high school? Was it when you were on the fishing boats?
It was on the boats, basically.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just wish that you could have been paid more for what you were doing.
Right.
Yeah, it's me with radio. I enjoyed radio a lot. I had lots of camaraderie. It was fun. We were in it together, and I just wasn't making any money.
Yeah, if I were wished to go back to any other thing, it'd be in the 80s and 90s, basically.
Yeah.
But I did have fun when I was younger, too, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have these moments of funness.
And the best parts were fishing with my mom and dad and, surf fishing on the shores of the ocean.
Yeah. So you got to do that with your parents. That's nice. So we were just talking about it, my wife and I thought retiring is what I want to do. I want to retire early. My father did, and he said to me one time, well, more than once, he said, I am going to retire. I don't care if I have enough money to live on or not. I'm just going to do it. And I said, Dad, you can't just do that. He goes, yes, I can. I said, well, you don't want to starve to death. He goes, I'm not going to starve to death. I'll have enough money for that. He said, I'm just not going to have anything fancy. I just don't care anymore. I'm not about fancy. I'm about living my life and having fun and not having to answer to the man. And I said,
well, he could go sit on his back porch and shoot a deer for dinner,
He could.
That's cool. You can't beat that.
He actually has done that. But he's shot deer with bow and arrow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Doesn't he usually use a bow, though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm all about thinking about retirement. And that's why we purchased this property up here in the beautiful state of Arizona toward the northern end of the state where it sometimes snows and sometimes rains, and unlike down in the valley in Phoenix where it doesn't. It's always hot and humid. Well, not humid, but hot, and you could cook an egg on the sidewalk in the summertime.
Exactly.
But up here it's a lot nicer. Although there's a lot of traffic up here lately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not...
It's getting bad.
Not quite bad for me, but it's getting there. I just hope that it doesn't get too bad. Have to buy more property and move the house down further or something. But we'll see.
It's getting sad around here.
Yeah. I could have multiple little forts on every piece of property I buy, right?
Right.
And what was that, expanding bottle?
Yes.
It's funny how that happens.
Water bottle.
So I'm all about that. I'm going to do that. And now, you know what I would like to do is, there's a group, and we've discussed this group before. They're called Pamplemousse. And if you haven't checked them out, they're a talented husband and wife team. When they first met, they were just friends, and they did music together. And then he asked her to marry him, and they she said, yes, it was great. But they do remakes of popular songs. That was their thing. And they would do them with like piano and like an old out-of-tune
How do
piano.
we get into this?
Well, I was just talking about quality of life and doing things that you
okay.
want to do. And these people do that. They started off doing what they wanted to do and have fun. And their thing was music. And my thing's music. I enjoy it so much. And I'm trying to learn all these songs now from the 70s.
My thing's relaxing anymore.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Well, you're nearing 60. So what happened? The mic got hot all of a sudden. I wonder what's going on. There must be I think when the circuitry gets hot, it does that. It's getting warm in here.
Are you still hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Move your lips. I'll hear you
How
better.
about now?
That's much better. You're such a punk. But
I like screwing with you.
I know, I can tell. And I try to stay on track with my story. It's always a trick.
Okay, Pamplemousse.
Not Pamplemousse. Pump.
Well, what is it?
Pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse?
Which is what did they say it was? Eggplant? The French word for eggplant? I don't know why they call that. I guess they just called their band that because they like the sound of it.
Monsieur Pamplemousse.
We like to say the word pamplemousse. I don't do nothing with my mousse. But anyway, that was an Italian talking French.
Have you ever seen the inside of an eggplant?
Yes, I have.
You been that far up a chicken's?
Well, now that you've asked me that question, the answer is no. Or should I even dignify it with a response?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is an eggplant. No, I have not. Not in any investigative way at all. Thank you. But eggplant.
Going back to
is what
eggplant, I love it.
Pamplemousse.
I like eggplant parmesan.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Not crazy about eggplant, just plain.
Have you ever had eggplant lasagna?
Yes,
That's
it
good.
is good. My wife has made that. She's also made the Parmesan or Parmigiana, whatever you say. And they're both good. Mm-hmm. I like it a lot.
Okay, get back to your story. I won't bother you any longer.
No, that's your job in life. I know that.
It
It's
is.
to heckle me and your wife. But anyway, I like the fact that they're doing what they want to do. And it was kind of funny. I watched a video of them this morning because they were saying that they started off doing what they wanted to do, making songs their way, like famous songs that you would know. And they would do it their way and make them slightly different or off kilter. And
They want it their way.
yes, and they did, and it was great. They really came up with some really interesting versions. They might take a fast song and make it slow, or make it sound like a big band song, or they might speed something up that's normally very slow.
Yeah, I remember you showed me on the, was it on
It was
the,
on YouTube, yeah, on the
oh, it was
computer.
on the,
One of
you
the
showed
two.
me on TV, I think it was on
Yeah.
YouTube.
And they're very
Yeah, that
talented.
was pretty darn interesting.
Yeah, and they've done, well, Hall & Oates songs, and I think Beatles songs, and Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, and
Have
changed
you ever
them.
sowed your oats?
Sowed my oats, and I don't know much about sowing. Let's
I
just
don't
put
know
it
much
that
about
way.
oats either.
Well, Hall & Oates. I've hauled some oats from the grocery store home, and they're good. I like oatmeal.
So do
But
I. I try and eat oatmeal every morning.
it keeps you regular. Mm-hmm. You know, at this age, it's good to be regular. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I told Cheryl the other day, I said, Cheryl, you got to stay regular, girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
So they do Hall & Oates, one of my favorite groups. I'm sure you like them as well.
I do.
But they're not only interesting to listen to, they put their own twist on it. And now they decided they've got this cult following, and they've even sold out shows in various towns. They'd travel to do a show with their friends. They would get some friends to play with them. They've done a TED Talks. Have you ever seen a TED Talk? I and Uncle Ted saw him talk all the time. No, they were the TED Talks are about technology and
gonna
how
have to
things
go
change
home
their life. Yeah, I'm going to have to send you home. I'm going to give you 3 demerits and send you home,
I'll take 2.
and then one upside the head. But the TED Talks are interesting because you can talk about anything you want for 7 minutes and how it affects culture and technology and all these things. I'm not sure exactly what they're all about, but they are fun to listen to, and you might learn something. Some of the things I disagree with, some of them I like.
Right.
And they were just interesting. Well, they did a TED Talk, and they were very good on it. They performed on the TED stage. So now they have this cult following, right? They've got lots of hits on YouTube, which means they're making some cash. YouTube has monetized them. They're making lots of money, or not lots, but maybe a good salary. And they're doing shows, and they're being able to sell CDs, I would imagine, and maybe some merchandise, like T-shirts and mugs and whatever. And people sponsor them. And then they decided to do something different. What did they do? Well, they decided they were going to write or perform one song a week, do it in their way, and they would try to get some of the best musicians they could in Los Angeles that were available to them and record. And they would do pop stuff with this group. And it fell through the cracks. I forget what it was. Maybe 800 people disengaged from them and said, I'm no longer listening to you because you don't have that quaint sound that you had to begin with.
Oh, I'll be darned.
You changed your sound and your whole mode of operating, so I'm not sponsoring you anymore, or I'm not watching you anymore.
That's probably what happened to us.
The thing is, they started losing listeners, and they went, what? What do we do? We're just doing things that we find interesting. And then they hit upon something. They said, well, we're not going to stop. This is what we want to do. So they kept doing it, even though they were losing people. They gained a few, lost a few more. And they decided, well, it's affecting their income. But they thought they weren't going to worry about it. They're just going to do what they think is right. Well, they finally hit upon a song that took off like wildfire. And it was it
was called Wildfire.
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It's a good song, though.
It is.
Michael Martin Murphey. It's like 74, I think that came out. I think, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
The song, it was a mashup. Do you know what a mashup is?
Nope.
Well, it's a new term they've coined. When you take one song and you blend it with another, and it makes one song. There's one out there with Staying Alive and something else, and the two mixed together are just amazing. I went, oh, who would have thought you could mix those two songs? And they might sing the lyrics of one over the melody of the other, or go to the chorus of one and then mix it with the chorus of
That sounds
another.
interesting.
It really is interesting. You go, well, that's a mind blower.
Next time we do this, we'll have to play one or something before.
Well, I'll let you hear one privately because I can't play it on the show. There's licensing issues.
I understand.
Yeah, but their mashups they're really great, very interesting.
I like mashed potatoes too.
I like those too. I like to mash them up with gravy.
Have you ever had mashed up cauliflower?
Yes.
Pretty good.
In fact, when I was on a strict diet for a while, and I should go back on it.
See how I'm
used
changing the subject?
That's okay.
No, go ahead.
No, that was all I had to say about it.
Go back to Moose Goose.
No, I was done with it, basically. I just thought it was a cool thing that they were doing, and that sometimes your audience is fickle, and they want what they want, and that's it. And if you change things, they don't like it.
Right.
But you run that risk, and you just have to follow your own course and do what you want and see if you get listeners. And if you don't, that's okay too. You got one or two friends listening, they can keep up to date with you.
There you go.
But I really like that group. If you get a chance to check them out, they're worth a view or a listen. Pamplemousse.
Moose and Lucy.
Who goosed the moose?
Ooh.
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln.
Who goosed the moose? Betty did.
Yeah. Moose and squirrel.
Oh,
Moose and squirrel.
back hurts.
Well, you're getting that. You're almost to 60.
Yeah, another month.
All right. Maybe you should get some oil in there.
31 days.
31 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm going to retire,
You are?
I think.
Good. So you're taking my advice.
Yes.
Finally. So
I'm tired.
no more axe sharpening. No more wiping off other men's hoses.
Just at home. Axe sharpening at home.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to clean other men's hoses at home either.
Or hosiery, for that matter. Yeah, fire hoses. You provide a very needed, required service
Oh, yeah.
because the firefighters couldn't do their jobs without good working material.
Good shiny hoses.
Yeah, those fire axes. I don't know. Did you ever drop one on your foot?
Yes.
He says it like you idiot. Of course.
Yes, I have. Well, actually, it fell out of the rack and it hit my shin, cut my shin, and I'm like, holy, I didn't, it hurt. I just kind of rubbed my shin a little bit. A little while later, my friend goes, what's all over your sock? Because I was wearing shorts,
Mm-hmm.
I look down and my whole sock's bloody.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So in the previous episode, we talked about pimple popping, and on this one, we're talking about bloody shins.
Ooh. So that'd be a good song, Bloody Shin.
Bloody shin, bloody shin. I'm not sure where we're going with that, but
Me neither.
we'll work on it. It's got a nice beat, and you can dance to it.
A new song, Bloody Shin?
Bloody shin. So it is bloody shin.
Sing it with an English accent?
Of course.
Of course.
All right. So, meanwhile, back at the Batcave, you ever met anybody from the Batman show?
Oh, quite a few times.
And then you woke up?
Yeah, I met Bill Bailey and
Bill Bailey?
Bob Booley.
You're making crap up again.
Yes.
You know,
Well,
you
hell no. How would I meet anybody from the Batman
you
show?
lived out in the L.A. area, didn't you?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I didn't live in...
You met Jed Clampett, I guess.
Yeah, well, I didn't really meet him. We
You were standing behind him.
behind him in the bank, yeah.
Hey, Jed.
Hey, Jed, you're up.
You're up. He wasn't paying attention. Buddy Ebsen. Wow, I can tie you to Shirley Temple and lots of different actors through Buddy
You
Ebsen.
met her?
No.
Oh,
No, I'm just saying 3 degrees of separation with Garth. So through Buddy Ebsen, you could be tied to Shirley Temple. And didn't he dance with her
I don't
when she was
know.
little?
Probably,
something?
yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
Of course, Shirley Temple's passed on now. Wow. There's so many people we've lost that there were such characters. Columbo. What was the actor who played Columbo?
Peter Falk.
Peter Falk. Had a glass eye. Mm-hmm. He was really a funny, nice man.
Mrs. So-and-so, can you come with me, please?
Always pretended like he didn't know what was going on and
Right.
always had all
Well,
the clues.
he did that so other people would tell him what was going on.
It was a good show.
You know, it was.
I liked
it's
it.
It's still on TV. Okay.
Well, enough about
Say goodnight, Dick.
Good Night, Dick. You're
Where
taking
were
me
we?
back in the 70s for
Where
a minute.
were we?
That was, what was that? The
Laughing.
Smothers Brothers.
Yeah, laughing.
Oh, no, Dick Rowan and Dan Martin.
Yeah, it was laughing.
Rowan and Martin's laughing. And who was the announcer?
Gary Owens.
It was Gary Owens. I'm sorry, sir, I cannot hear you. No, I don't know. He would do all sorts of fun stuff.
Stupid.
Oh, what was his name? Artie Johnson.
Artie Johnson.
Yeah, he played the German.
How do you say that? Something but stupid.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very interesting, but,
but
stupid.
stupid.
And then Ruth Buzzy. And she played the little old woman in the hairnet that would sit at the bus stop with him and
Whack him over the head with a purse.
beat him with her black purse and her big pilgrim shoes. Remember, did I tell you I met Ruth Buzzy? Met her at a cowboy convention, of all things. She did one Western that I'm aware of. And I don't remember what it was called. But it was in the 70s, mid to late 70s. She had her own cartoon for a short time. I don't know that it was that popular. But I forget, there was a spaceman on it or something. And it was somebody like Robin Williams. It wasn't Robin, it was somebody else that was on it with her. And I forget who that was. But my memory is poo-poo. Oh, well.
El Crapo.
But Ruth was really a nice lady. And I told her, and this is kind of funny, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but she said that, I told her that I watched Laugh-In. I used to have to sneak to watch it because my mom didn't want me to, she thought it was a little racy, you know, with the Sakatumi girls wearing the bikinis and the racy talk.
That's why I like to watch it.
Not you and most men, I guess. And it pulled most of us boys through puberty, didn't it? No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
But Ruth said, your mom thought that was racy? I said, yeah, because we grew up in the Midwest, and that was almost naughty. And she said, what would your parents think of Brokeback Mountain? I said, they wouldn't like that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I ever want to see it.
I don't want to watch it.
Not my cup of tea. But people don't get that, you know. They think that we should all embrace it.
Should have seen that one part of that movie.
Oh?
Yeah, I'll tell you. They were riding along and they come across a sheep.
Is this a joke?
No, it was in the movie.
Wait a minute, let me set the scene, already? In Indian country, we're riding along.
They're riding along and
Oh no, here's a better one. This is better. There we
they're
go.
riding along on the fence line, mending fences, and they saw a sheep stuck in the fence.
They did.
Yep.
And what
Guy-
happened with the sheep?
And one guy gets off his horse, Picks the back feet up on the sheep and sticks it in his boot.
That was horrible. I'm not going there. Brokeback Sheep Mountain. And now, we're not going to talk sheep stories anymore. Garth cannot be trusted. Ay, ay, ay.
But it was in the movie.
I had to cut that out, man. That was just too much. Aunt Martha would have fell out of her high chair and hurt herself real bad.
Real bad.
Yeah, and then we'd have to tell why, and it would be embarrassing.
I'm Edith Ann.
And you're only 5.5 years old? I find that hard to believe. Yeah, so Ruth Buzzy, cool lady, nice. I liked her. She was fun. Oh, it was Jim Neighbors that was on with her. That was a space person or something. A cartoon with Jim Neighbors.
Huh.
It was, no offense, Ruth, but it was a horrible cartoon. And I don't think anyone watched it, and that's why they pulled it.
My stomach's gurgling, and I feel it.
Due to a medical emergency.
How long have we been on this one?
24 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, which edited means 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm sitting here thinking, my wife and I were in Las Vegas one time, and we just happened to be walking past a sports store where they sold sports memorabilia and posters and whatnot. It was in Caesar's Palace. And as we're walking by, I went, that looks like, what's the guy's name that was into sports betting and they got him or threw him out of baseball or punished him or something?
Pete Rose.
That's the guy, Pete Rose. We saw Pete sitting there. I recognized his face immediately.
Well, for Pete's sake.
For Pete's sake, and Gladys too.
And Gladys too.
Anyway, so we stopped by and we walk right up to him. He's signing autographs, and of course he's doing it for a small fee. Mm-hmm. And you can have him sign something. I don't think it was too expensive, as I recall. It wasn't cheap, but like $50 or something. But that was kind of a shock, when you're not expecting. I can't even talk today. You're not expecting to see somebody like that, and then you look over and you go, "Oh, I know that guy. Oh, where do I know that guy?" And then you're thinking, "Did I go to school with him? Did I know?" But I knew this guy was older than me in this case. But then I realized who it was, and I went, "Oh, that's Pete." And my mom, my wife says, "Yeah, that's Pete Rose." So we walked in and we watched him sign a few autographs and heard him speak. And people were saying, you got a raw deal, Pete, because all the other guys bet too. They just don't get caught. And we've heard a few comments like that. But that was kind of interesting to see a guy like that signing autographs, and we didn't expect to see him. And then we left there and walked out to the mall and looked at stuff.
I see him on TV all the time.
You do?
Yeah.
What's he on?
Some commercial.
Oh, is that right?
Blue Emu or...
Is that Pete?
Yeah.
I thought that was Johnny Bench.
Oh, is it? Oh, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I guess you're right.
Yeah, that was Johnny Bench. Yeah, he does that Blue Emu
Yeah,
thing.
they're both baseball players.
Yeah, they look kind of alike a little bit. So it's hard to tell them apart sometimes. But yeah, I just happened to remember that. And I thought, well, there's not too many people I've met that were celebrities. But, being in broadcasting, once in a while, somebody would come in that you would recognize.
Yeah, like who?
Like Barry Manilow.
Get out of here. You
I know.
met Barry?
Your heart's pitter-pattering right now,
is.
isn't it?
It is.
Let me just say, Barry was not a happy camper that day. So he must have been having a bad day, so we'll give him that. I don't know what went on prior to that, but I guess he was not forthcoming during the interview. He was in town to do a show and just didn't seem very nice. But then again, I the only other story I know
I'll
about
never
him,
listen to another one of his records.
looks like we made it.
Yeah, it looks like.
I'm not saying that he's always that way because I don't know. Maybe. But people are like that. People are people. Mm-hmm. Pat Sajak came into the studios one time. And
What the hell was he doing there?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. He was supporting some cause or something. And he came on the air to promote something. And my buddy was doing the show. And he came in and he said, that guy is just an idiot. He's just a jerk.
Pat Sajak
yeah.
is?
You ask him a question about something, you go, yeah. It's like, can you expound a little bit maybe? It's an interview here, a give and take, back and forth. But he just was not a very pleasant fellow. He thinks he's better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see where
That was my impression anyway.
I don't blame you.
But then again, maybe he was having a bad day. I just say that because I know people have bad days. But, you expect them to be at least nice.
Now, isn't he on that game show? Or
Yeah, Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel for Vanna White?
Yeah, Vanna. I don't know. Is she still on that show? I don't even know who's on or if it's still on.
I think they're both still hosting it.
And pretty soon, 2030, it's going to be, all right, Vanna, go ahead and spin that wheel.
I can't. I can't reach up that high to push the button.
You got toilet paper on your shoe.
To turn the letter or whatever they do.
That's not a vowel. We said turn the valve, Vanna. Anyway, yeah. So who knows how long that's going to go. I ran into
Did it hurt?
Charlene Tilton. She was the little blonde that was on Dallas. I forget what part she played, but I remember that because all the guys were like, wow, there's Charlene.
Where'd you run
She was
into?
hot. It was the Derby Downs
Was it head on?
in Akron. They have guest marshals or
Derby Downs.
yeah. You've heard of Derby Downs, haven't you? Soapbox Derby. Does that ring a bell?
Derby Downs. Yeah, I can see where. Yeah.
And so
They go downhill. Right?
Yep. That you just coast downhill in your car, and somebody wins. And they have all these heats. So many different races, and then the winners of those heats race against each other.
Right.
And kids from all over the country are bringing in their homemade cars. Some of them, you could tell, the adult made it, but the kids are supposed to make it. But they have all these different things. I remember one time they had a kid there that had weights in the front of his car, and that was illegal. He had drilled holes in the front, and they had poured lead inside and then covered it back up with like wood
Cheaters,
stuff.
I'll be darned. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
That's a good thing to start your child out on.
Yep. And I think he won.
Hey, you know what? If we cheat, you might win.
Well, they x-ray all the cars. So that's been a new thing, back then. Because this was back in the 80s, I think, either late 70s or early 80s, when I remember that story came out. But they x-rayed the car and found the lead weights.
Isn't that something?
That was the biggest controversy at the Akron Soapbox Derby.
They get kicked out.
He was disqualified because you're not allowed to have it.
And don't ever come back.
Yeah. And then there was, they had Little Joe, Michael Landon. He was there with some of the others from Bonanza. I don't know if the whole cast was there. I thought they were. I think at least 3 of them were there. Lauren Green and Dan Blocker. And Little Joe. Yeah. Dan was a sweetheart of a guy from what I understand.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Real nice guy. I think he passed away from cancer, didn't he?
It was either heart or something. I can't remember. Heart attack or I'm just not sure.
I know Michael Landon.
Yeah, Michael had cancer. Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, Dan Blocker had cancer.
Yeah, it
too.
could have. Yeah. My memory isn't that good on that one. But
Did
yeah.
that Parnell Roberts finally pass away?
Yeah, he's been gone for a while.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. He was, what was that character? Was it Trapper John MD that he played? He's supposed to be a spin-off of the Mask
After
character.
MASH?
Yeah.
It might have been.
Yeah, he was a doctor in the city. And
That didn't go too far.
yeah. Yeah, it was on for a few years, I think, but then it went away. So I remember those guys. Now I wanted to go down and see them. And when you have to remember that my house was probably,
A very, very, very fine house.
yes,
With
with
two
two
cats
kids in the yard.
2 kits?
Yeah, I'm trying to think fast. 2 kids in the yard. The Derby Downs was like a mile and a half from my house. And you could go over there and, I could ride my bike over there if I wanted to, and I often did. In fact, when it was closed down, you could get on the property because it was behind Goodyear Aerospace. And you could get on at the top of the hill with your bike and coast all the way down. And we used to do it. And man, could we fly down that hill.
Oh, I bet.
That was amazing. I've done it many times.
How exciting.
They won't let you on the property now. They got it all gated off and locked up and probably have it cameraed
It's
everywhere.
only for racing now.
Yeah, I suppose so.
We had big old hills where we used to live in California,
Yeah.
in North Whittier. And we used to have derby we'd bolt boxes onto our skateboards and go down the hill.
Oh, wow, that's inventive.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Especially on a hill.
Excuse me.
Well, there's a hill over where I grew up in Mogador, which is one of the next towns over. And I was on that hill, and it took you a Herculean effort to get up on your bicycle, because back in those days, I think I didn't have a 10-speed. Those were the newest things out at the time. I had a 3-speed, and my bike in third gear was the most power, but it was the hardest to pedal. And I think I had to dumb it down to like first gear so I could get up that hill. And finally it got to the top and came down the hill, and it was a massive hill on a bike. You could probably get up to 45 miles an hour on your bicycle just coasting.
Wow.
And you're like scared to death that you're going to hit something. And then there's, of course, cars coming both directions. But yeah, that was exciting.
The bigger kids used to, like my older brothers, and they used to race their bikes down these hills too.
Yeah.
And 10 speeds, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they were, well, it might have been 2. Well, they had front brakes on it.
Yeah.
Front, the handbrake.
Yeah, there's probably 10 speeds.
But I remember the one time two guys were racing down the hill, and we were probably almost at the bottom, watching, spectating. And the guy, they were hauling ass, and the one guy.
I like that group, hauling ass. Didn't they do 1-on-1 and?
Yeah, and 2-on-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sarah,
They're
don't
pretty
smile
good.
too much.
Because your teeth are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But anyways, the guy pulled his front handbrake down towards the bottom of the hill to slow down. They locked up, and he just did an endo. He flew in the air probably 15, 20 feet.
Wow.
And he was all beat up.
Yeah, that's the first thing you teach a kid. Don't use the front brake when you're coming downhill.
Right.
Use the back. That's the one that slows you down because your butt's on it, and it's held down a lot more than the front tire.
Yeah, it just catapulted him. We're like, he was skinned up and beat up.
Wow.
Lucky he didn't kill himself.
No kidding. I mean, that'd be easy to do. And we didn't wear helmets then. There wasn't such a thing as a bike helmet.
Right.
They'd have laughed you out of the county if you had talked about wearing a helmet. Yeah, I could see a kid in a football helmet riding down a hill. But that's all we had.
We used to use our football helmets to ride our mini bike.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's better than nothing.
Right.
But kind of silly looking.
Yeah, stupid looking.
Unless you have a ball tucked under your arm and you're gunning the bike down the hill. I'm going for a touchdown, dude. But yeah, we did that. And what was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, one of the worst bike wrecks I had. There were 2 actually that are in the top 10. I was riding uphill, and I was kicking it pretty good. I was, using my whole body weight on each pedal as I rocked back and forth climbing this hill. And I had just come from a big hill and zooming up. So I kept the momentum by keeping pedaling. And as I slipped off the edge of the road, I got into this soft dirt. It just, how the dirt just lays there. It's almost like sand, but it's got grit in it. And my tire slipped off into that. And it slowed my front tire down, which was horrible. And it stopped me. I hit a rock, and then I did an endo over the handlebars. And I had been taking karate, or like a jiu-jitsu, martial arts.
Oh, jiu-jitsu.
And I was doing it for 3 months. And what happened was, as I went over the handlebars.
You thought about jiu-jitsu?
I did. And I had been practicing rolling and standing up. And I was with a bunch of other guys. And they watched me and they went, oh, they could see me flying through the air. And I dove and I tucked my head under and I rolled and I stood right back up. And they went, how did you do that?
I'll be darned.
And I told them, training.
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. Bless you, sir. Yeah, it's true. But it saved my life. I don't know if I'd have hit the bigger rocks or what would have happened. But that was earth-shattering. And then, what was the other one I had? It was just a really bad accident. I was in Phoenix riding my bike to the store on the weekend. And you know how they have River Rock right next to the sidewalk? Mm-hmm. I hit River Rock because there was a yield sign they had placed onto the sidewalk that had feet on it, to keep it standing up. Mm-hmm. And they had placed it halfway across the sidewalk. And I couldn't get into the River Rock because I can't drive through that. And I didn't want to get on the street because it was rush hour. And so I'm on the sidewalk trying to ease by between rush hour traffic and the yield sign, or the construction sign, whatever it was. And it's a diamond shape. And the diamond shape was pretty high, but I was up on a bike. So I got past the sign okay with the bike, but my shoulder caught the edge of the sign. And it spun me around, spun me backwards, and I fell back onto that river rock.
Ow.
And I went bam, as hard as you could hit. And my back, it went into spasm immediately, and I lost my breath. I couldn't breathe. It was like somebody punched me in the gut, but it was from the back. And I stood up and I went, I couldn't breathe. I had to force myself to suck in air. And finally, I thought, am I going to die standing on the sidewalk, not being able to breathe? This is ridiculous. And everybody's watching me, And I'm going, and I finally, after about a minute, I'm able to breathe normally again. But my back is just killing me. So I got what I needed at the store, and then I went home, and I looked in the mirror, and I had a bruise the size of a basketball on my back. And it was dark black, so I hit it good.
Yeah, you did.
That's probably the worst bike accident I've ever had. How about you?
I smashed my left knee on my bicycle.
You have to pull rocks out of it?
No, matter of fact, it's when we used to chop our bicycles, make them into choppers, put extensions on the front.
Oh, boy.
Long forks and everything.
You're one of those. Okay.
And I had the gooseneck handlebars and the banana seat.
Yeah, I remember those.
Banana seat. And the slick on the back and everything. So we were riding in the mall. It was closed. It's open for a half a day on Sundays. And it was called Fashion Square Mall.
Uh-huh.
I think it's all closed down nowadays. But so anyways, they had these big concrete benches that you could sit on and rest,
Mm-hmm.
And they don't move.
No, they don't.
No. So anyways, we were all hauling ass through the mall and everything, because it was closed. There was nobody there. We're driving around. Then, 'cause if you're going so fast on your chopper and you go to turn, sometimes the front wheel just bounces. You don't turn.
Because your fork's too long.
Right, exactly. I was following everybody, and we were hauling ass. We were probably doing 15 miles an hour, basically, in this mall area. And they all veered off to the left. And I went, oh, okay. So I turned, and my front tire just started bouncing.
Which means you're not turning.
Which
it's
I'm
going
not turning.
straight.
And I'm like, oh. And then I went to hit the brakes because I was heading for that bench. I went to hit the brakes, and my foot slipped off the pedal, and the pedal came up and got caught behind my left knee.
Oh, man.
And I'm still going, 10 miles an hour now because I slowed down a little bit. And I'm wham! The bench met right with the top, the top of the bench met right with my knee, and I just smashed it.
Man, that hurts.
It did. I got up and walked around a little bit. Everybody said, you all right? You all right? Yeah, I'm okay, and then everything feels better when it stops hurting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, we, goofed around the rest of that day, and I was spending the night over my buddy's house that night, who was with us riding, and all of a sudden I had Levi's on, long pants. And all of a sudden my knee, we were sleeping in his garage in the station wagon or something, sneaking cigarettes. So anyways, we're laying there talking and bullshitting and everything, and all of a sudden my knee just started going thump, bum, 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 bum. I'm going, oh. And Paul's going, what's the matter? I go, my knee, it's killing me. Oh. So we turned the dome light on in the station wagon, and my knee was twice as big as...
Like a softball.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I had to take my pants off because it was the
swelling was too
swelling
big.
Getting too big. That's what was making it hurt because it was...
Cutting the circulation off.
So I had to take my pants off and walk home, put ice on it.
And you get this goose egg, and it takes weeks to go away.
Yeah, and I remember it was during the Olympics in the 70s. What was it? It was
Mark Spitz.
'74 Olympics. I
Yeah.
think it might have been.
I think you're right.
And I was forced to lay on the couch with ice on my leg and watch the Olympics with my mom and dad.
Well, there are worse things,
Yeah,
but
there is.
I can't think of one right now.
But yeah, that's about the worst thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, I give Garth a 3 on that one.
Yeah.
If there was more blood, I'd have given you a 10, but that's all right. We really digressed on this one. We were talking about celebrities when we get into bike riding.
Right. Well, celebrities ride bikes.
Sometimes they do.
The celebrity bike riders.
That's
It's
right.
the Celebrity Bike Riders Club.
or I want to ride my bicycle. Well, who did that? Queen.
Bicycle.
Yep. Freddie Mercury and Queen. And then they did Fat Bottom Girls, which was about bicycles.
Right.
The nude bicycle ride in England. And they called it Fat Bottom Girls. Okay.
Is that what that was about?
I think so, yeah. In fact, the album cover on the inside has a picture of the nude bike race. And it's
I'll
got
be
all these chubby people naked riding bicycles.
I didn't know that.
Not a pleasant sight. I don't know
I
why they
bet.
put it in there.
I'd hate to be one of those seats.
Yeah. Alcohol. Ay, ay, ay. I was trying to think who else I had met. Who else have I met? America, and I think I've talked about that before, but we couldn't remember their names.
Yeah,
Dewey
Huey
is
and Dewey.
the only one we could think of. But it was Dewey, remember the last name? His last name? Bunnell?
Okay.
Dewey Bunnell, whose real name, and I looked this up, is Lee Martin Bunnell. Lee Bunnell. Why? Lee's cool. Why do you go with Dewey? What's that all about? I don't know. Well, usually nicknames is about something that's personal, and I don't know why you'd call somebody Dewey. So, just a thought. And then there's Jerry Beckley, who was the other singer, the blonde-haired guy. Dewey had the dark hair.
Didn't one of them pass away, did you say?
Well, that was, there was a third guy that was with them from childhood that did pass away, Dan Peake.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he passed away. That's a shame.
I'll be darned.
But yeah, the Dewey and Jerry still are touring. They're still doing stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're writing new things. They had an album not too awfully long ago that they came out with. And I found an Old America album at a sale in Ohio. I was looking around at stuff and found this Old America album. So I'm going to have to listen to that. Haven't had a chance to do it yet.
The first one or something?
It's an earlier one, but it's been re-released on CD. I don't know how good it is, but I'll have to check it out.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, so, and then who else? Oh, Harry Blackstone Jr. And if you are a youngster and you don't know who Harry Blackstone is, he was a magician, and I liked him. The guy had class. He had a great radio voice. He had a little black goatee, dark jet black hair, and at the time he wore glasses when I met him. But he eventually got contact lenses or the operation for his eyes, and then you never saw him with glasses anymore. But what a class act that guy was. I liked him, and he was funny too. He'd do the show. I saw him at the Theater in the Round in Cleveland, much like the Celebrity in Phoenix, where the stage rotates. And he was a blast. He's one of those guys that you'd put handcuffs on. He'd say, now you put the handcuffs on me now. And so he'd get someone from the audience to do it. They'd lock the cuffs on him, and they'd put a sheet over his hands, like a silk or something. And he'd say, now, here, you, and he'd reach his hand out. Obviously, it was free of the handcuffs. And he'd move this guy over. Why don't you stand over here? He said, I'm going to put my hands now. And then he'd reach his left hand out, and he'd do the same thing and move this lady. Oh, now you stand over here. And the audience is just losing it, because the people up on the stage are so self-conscious about being on stage, they're not realizing he just took his hands out. Mm-hmm. They're not in the handcuffs anymore. And then he'd say, would you check my handcuffs and see if they're tight? And this lady would take the silk off his hands, and both hands are in the cuffs. So he would do comedy routines like that, and it was a blast. I enjoyed that so much. I thought he was one of the best magicians that I'd ever seen. And David Copperfield is a good magician, but he does stage stuff. And Harry did too, but Harry did close-up and stage. But he did things that translated well. I just don't like all these boxes and gimmicks and stuff like that. For me, the best magicians are the ones that can do close-up, stuff right in front of you, stuff at the bar or on a kitchen table, and can manipulate a card. Or there was a kid recently on America's Got Talent, a Japanese kid. I think he's from Japan, and just a wonderful magician and amazing. The guy did card tricks that some of them I knew how to do, some of them I didn't. And I was just amazed. He was so smooth at it, and he adapted the trick and made it better. So he didn't do it the old-fashioned way. He did it the way he felt it would make it better, and it was better. Just amazing guy. But can't think of his name. Do you like magic?
Yeah.
I have a friend named Patrick. Patrick hates magic. I said, why do you hate it? He goes, it makes me feel stupid. I said, well, why would it make you feel stupid? I like to be fooled. If you can fool me, you're good. I enjoy that. It's like something, it's like something magical happened, something mystical. And you know it's not, you know it's a trick. You just can't see how he did it.
Right.
And that's the amazing part. And I so enjoy that.
Simply amazing.
Simply amazing, Arthel.
And back to you, Arthel.
So, I don't know. It's just fun. Meeting celebrities is kind of cool in one way. They're just people. Mm-hmm. And if you can talk to them and not get tongue-tied.
Most of them are stuck-up people.
A lot of them are. I'll give you that. Harry was really cool. He was down to earth. And he even cut some promos for our station. And I may even have them somewhere. But, yeah, just a really down-to-earth guy. Class act. His wife, Gay, she's still continuing on with magic and helping other magicians. And
Oh, he passed away?
yeah, he had a heart attack and passed.
Oh, I'll be darned.
But through the magic of radio, we stopped recording, and I had Garth watch Piff the Magic Dragon. And what was your impression of Piff?
He's pretty funny. He's good.
Yeah, I think he's very talented. He got the golden buzzer on that show that year. And very talented guy. Well, I don't know what he's doing now. I'll have to look him up. But I just thought it was a fun way to do magic. He was so dry humor, and the way he snuck that kiss in on Heidi Klum. It was pretty naughty. I'm surprised that the folks in California didn't have him arrested. But
Yeah,
hey,
no kidding.
the way they are. But, it's showbiz.
No, he's pretty good. Yeah, you know what? After watching that guy, I could probably do magic myself, too.
Where did you get that magic wand?
This one here?
Yeah.
Oh, I made it not
Well,
too long ago.
You're talented.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
Do you want to see if it works?
sure.
I want to make it disappear.
You can't.
It does work. Chris? Where'd he go? Oh, it's the end of the show. Well, Chris isn't here anymore, you guys. I'm going to have to close everything out. Okay, well, here's one of my strange but true facts. It says an onion is a lily, botanically. Chris? Okay, well, folks, I'm Garth, and that was Chris. Have a good evening or morning. Bye-bye. I'm the bunker boy. There's only one left. Chris? Chris?